What is your I'm getting older sign? At what point do you realize you're getting older? Write in the comments what you think. Enjoy the show. Story 1. Looking back and realizing I barely talk to any of my close friends. Maybe 2 of them I still talk to regularly. 3 others I talk to online occasionally. And my other, 20 friends I had throughout high school and college I don't even speak to at all anymore. We've mostly gone our separate ways and most of us have just drifted apart or are too busy to probably ever talk again. I honestly miss so many of my friends. I've changed since then and wonder how our friendships would be now if we talked again. Story 2. In the car with my husband on the way home from Lowe's, passing an area W/lots of busy bars and restaurants, I exclaim, "Whew, people are out tonight, I wonder what's going on." My husband had to remind me that it was 8 p.m. on a Saturday. On a walk with my husband in our neighborhood, it's getting dark, so obviously we're wearing our super stylish, neon yellow reflective pedestrian vests. We pass a house with a bunch of cars and loud music, and I go, "Ooh, goodness, they are having a party. They're really getting after it." My husband had to remind me that it was 7:30 p.m. on a Friday. I looked down at my reflective vest and realized I'm officially elderly. Basically, getting old means becoming so far removed from public activities that you forget a lot people actually go out and do things every weekend. I'm 33, FBTW. Story 3. Acquiring injuries in your sleep. When I very rarely go out, I need to plan a day or 2 afterwards to recover, even if no alcohol is involved. Seeing implements to put on your socks without having to bend and actually thinking they're a great idea. No longer having the dexterity to unfasten my bra from the back. The list could go on, but I've forgotten half of them. Story 4. I'm irrationally angry when someone parks out the front of my house in my husband's unofficial parking spot. I don't technically own the front curb, but it's out the front of the house that I do own. It gets me irate when I see someone pull in and park there. Story 5. It would be more accurate to say signs of my growing up. I no longer crave loud parties. Drinking alcohol leads not to fun, but to a wistful and philosophical mood. My body refuses to lend me anything that is a night without sleep, atypical physical activity. Eating a lot of high-calorie food or alcohol the next day will lead to poor health, although a few years ago I did not experience problems. Story 6. Opened up Facebook the other day and seen a picture of my cousins with all their kids. At a birthday party for one of them. Eldest kid, who I last seen when he was 5, is suddenly 14, and the party only contains my cousins and their kids. Made me realize that's the same type of birthday party I would have went to when I was super young. Oh, how the turntables. Story 7. Man, I'm going to be 29 this year, but I've noticed within the past few years certain signs that are truly, wow, I'm getting old. First of all, recovery time. I work a job that I'm constantly on my feet and doing physical work. I daily wake up achy, and by the end of the day I'm just exhausted. A few years ago my body felt more spry and didn't have any problems. Even when I would work out and run a 5K, I never felt sore or completely drained. I felt more alive. Now, I'm abolished and feel it all over. Another thing that could go with recovery is weight. I'm not completely eating bad. I watch what I typically eat and certain things I could do better in it, but it's definitely harder to lose pounds and stay consistent. I used to be able to run twice a week and even be at my job and keep weight off easily. Now, the same things I used to do don't work even food-wise. Balancing that is even harder. Losing weight was so much easier a few years back, and now I'm learning what used to work isn't the same case anymore, and it's completely disappointing. Last thing is my hair. About 3 years ago, I noticed slight gray little hairs on my left side. This past weekend, I looked in the mirror and it's getting worse. It could be a family gene passed down or the stress of life that's taken a toll on me, but regardless, it's waking me up and realizing I'm getting older and the years aren't slowing down. Tons of these really simple things you take for granted, and for me, I swear I took for granted a lot of it. And now I'm having moments of, wow, I gotta watch how I do certain things and stay at a level where I'm not gonna be hurting and my health is okay. I never worried about those things, and even though I haven't hit 30, I can see that in the next few years it's only gonna get worse. Stay humble, y'all, and don't take for granted life and yourself. Story 8. There are plenty of things like clubbing is not fun anymore. No people in my age in my hometown, which don't have a university or entry jobs anywhere. Competitive games are meh, switch to single-player RPGs or casual MMORPGs. I rarely drink alcohol. 1 beer on Friday night is enough for me. I'd rather chill in nature with a girlfriend or bunch of friends than go to the center to hang out and meet new people. I pay attention to stretching and a healthy lifestyle while I mostly sit in front of my computer in a job and after it. I am more demanding in terms of food quality. Fast food is not tasty anymore, and I would rather go sit in restaurants than eat kebabs, McDonald's, and other garbage food I liked in my childhood. Stopped watching YouTubers who play and talk about games or dramas. Instead, I watch politics, science, nature, facts, and news. What about you? Story 9. For me, it specifically happened when I was a junior in high school. I am 24 now. I am the youngest of 5 children, and growing up, I thought my family would always live together. My brothers and sisters slowly started moving out of the house, but it really hit me when my sister, 4th youngest, went to college. I was all alone with my parents in an empty house. Really got me thinking about the future. Story 10. Well, the not understanding new trends. I think we have a pass there because say today's trends, some of them, usually the ones I don't get, are specially stupid, since a lot of them are just made for attention online. But I also assume that's what every generation think. BW, when I mean trends I don't get, it don't mean skibidi toilets. For example, NPC trend on TikTok. TBH, I don't see why skibidi toilets would be more stupid than things I watched in 2012 yet. TikTok trends, though. Story 11. Videos that give quick asides explaining things you still remember, but the audience assume needs to be explained because most of their audience was born after it. For example, when they say something like, back in those days, movies came on small plastic boxes with magnetic tape inside called VHS. Story 12. All right, let me tell you a story. I was bartending for a U of T event, College for You Americans, and it was open bar, so these kids were hammered. And sometime after midnight, this girl stumbled up to my bar and slurs, "You're hot!" And I say, "Thanks." And she goes, "No, you're like really, really hot." And I say again, "Thanks." And then she goes, "But you're too old." And I go, "I'm 29, I'm not that old." And she says, "I'm 19, you're old." So, yeah, then story 13. I'm deeply, deeply bored with hearing very young people insisting they know everything and older people must be stupid. I sometimes think of that line in Fried Green Tomatoes. Face it, girls, I'm older and I have more insurance. Today, someone started arguing with me after asking about getting horses. They asked how to get from poverty to owning horses. I responded I worked. I started working when I was 12. That was too much for them to bear. They got insulting and obnoxious. I thought, but I have what you want. I have much less patience with that condescending attitude. Story 14. For me, it was my relationship to substances. I went from alcohol and weed every day in my 20s with harder stuff on the weekends to alcohol only on vacation, weed every now and again, and 0 hard drugs. Mostly, it no longer did anything. I could straight kill a handle of something and not even get buzzed. Weed is really most enjoyable in moderation. My coke days give me cold shivers, spending hours trying to procure shit, hearing the birds, falling asleep at 2 p.m. the next day. I honestly think I'd die doing that now. Even my relationship to psychedelics has changed. I have been through ego death and all that, and my demons just don't have the same weight they used to. The idea of stepping into another reality is strange now. My life ain't great, but I have grown into enjoying it. Story 15. Okay, here we go. Gray in the beard, hair in the ears, groan when I stand, listen to talk radio, get angry at the neighborhood kids, socks are too short, why is my knee making that noise? See multiple specialists, had a prostate exam, no idea who any of the Grammy performers are, I'm not keeping up with this Drake and Kendrick Lamar thing at all, tired all the time, sad all the time, that pain is new, can't remember why I walked into this room. Just off the top of my head. Story 16. I have had arthritis since I was in my early 20s. When the reaction changed from, "Oh, you poor thing, that's unfair," to, "Yeah, arthritis sucks, don't it?" I knew I was old. Or maybe a few years ago when I was explaining to my nephew why Drake, and mumble rap as a whole, is terrible. My explanation suddenly started to sound like the complaints I heard as a kid as to why Nirvana, and grunge as a whole, was terrible. Drake still sucks, but now I'm old. Story 17. Negative experiences. Random aches and pains. A tired feeling that never really goes away, no matter how much sleep/rest. Very low tolerance for loud noises and overstimulation. Positive perks, confidence in self, groundedness, healthy communication skills, healthy coping strategies, smaller circle of people who are in alignment with me, weeded out superficial/unfulfilling relationships, courage, wisdom, and a genuine sense of stability. Story 18. For me, it was when I realized that pretty much none of the players that were playing when I first started watching sports are still playing. So basically, there's been an entire cycle for me for the first time. I'm only 26, but it still made me feel kind of old. I mean, I also feel kind of old when I said kids get drafted to the NBA and I see how young they actually are, but I still think of them as adults because that's the way I always saw NBA draftees/rookies for the first 19 years of my life, even though they're like 19 at the time. So, when I actually see how young the players are each year, and each year they seem younger and younger as I get older, it makes me feel really old. Story 19. Recovery slows down. You have to sleep in fairly specific positions. You're really sensitive to what bad you're on. If you work out 3 or 4 days in a row, you feel completely shot. The nutrition helps. Prioritizing sleep, even hormone therapy, but it doesn't make you 20 again. Story 20. A noticeable change in the conversations my friends and I have these days. Up till a couple of years ago, we never ever discuss health. But for a couple of years now, our conversations are mostly about discussing each other's health, like blood pressure, diets, stress, etc. Also, can't do late night outs anymore. 9 p.m. and I just want to come home and sleep. I am 37. Story 21. I turned 15 in February of this year, so I had to start working. I applied to 3 different places and am still waiting to hear back. That was one sign to me that I am getting older faster than I thought. Another sign is each time I go out somewhere with my uncle, he makes comments about how fast I am maturing and should stop getting so old so soon. It really makes me think, am I really getting older that fast? Where has all the time gone? Story 22. Last week I was at my best friend's place helping to put a grill together. His kids had some friends over, ages 5, 8, during this time. After we were done, we went inside and started watching golf. Some of the kids were inside during this time, just being kids. My friend politely told them that if they were going to make noise to play outside, I turned to him and basically said, "You realize that we're old since you told them to go outside because it was too loud to watch golf." Yeah, that was our sign. Story 23. Apparently, I scare the crap out of most of the young analysts at work. One of them kept saying, "Yes, ma'am," when I was explaining what I needed him to do. For reference, I work in hard industry and commercial ops, and new hires never know how anything works. I'm not being mean when I go down there to teach them. It's a necessary part of training green staff members. But apparently I'm old enough now that they think they're in trouble when I show up at their desks. To be fair, interns also completely freak me out in their own right. As soon as they show up every summer, I realize that all the kids on the floor that I thought were 22-year-old interns are actually more like 28. It's the opposite of dazed and confused. I swear I've stayed the same age. They just keep getting younger. Story 24. I felt this for the first time. A couple of weeks ago, I tripped and fell down at work. Retail job. I was carrying a box and couldn't see what another employee had put on the floor. Everyone rushed to me. The worst of it was that I hurt my knees. Otherwise, just kind of banged up in general. The worry from everyone was very disconcerting. I just turned 39. I haven't bounced back the way I used to either. Getting older is weird. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Be sure to write comments and share your stories.